In a previous video, we have installed CodeceptJS and created our first test for login. Um, Now we will try to do something more and register a new user on the website. So we go to terminal and execute a special command in CodeceptJS to generate a new test file. It's JT, generate test. So which feature now we will try to test? Registration. Register. Okay, it was created and you see we start with renaming our first test as well. As usual, we start the test with opening a page and pausing execution. That's all. So let's switch back to terminal and execute only this one test, but not including the login, only tests from this file. We put the name of this file and debug flag to make pause actually work. We are back on the sign in page, but unlike previous scenarios, we will do something different. We click sign up. And now we have a form to fill in. Let's go and provide name, email and password for this user. I don't know if it was a good name to start, but let's try with this name. Next, I am typing in an email. I'm using my email address. Oh, I think field email wasn't located. Maybe because I should use label email, but it wasn't located by name email. So the text of label is email from the uppercase letter, so let's try again. Cool. And now I need to fill in password. Do you remember the password from the previous video? The very secure one. It's admins. And we will repeat it here. So next we need to agree on terms of service. That's where I need DevTools to actually check how can I access this element. Checkbox name is terms and ID is also terms. So I can locate element by name or ID. I will use the name here. And finally I can click this sign up button. Let's see. Oh, looks like there was already one Davert on this website. Who was that? So probably I need to go and change my email to something other than that. I change the name. I'm clicking sign up. I need to agree on terms and now I need to fill in the password. The good news that I can do it by repeating the previous commands because they are available in terminal. Okay, I really hope that I have now filled all the inputs correctly. I click sign up and wow! I have registered, but now I need to confirm my email address as website says. So let's check for this result because it's actually a valid outcome. Okay, so the message exists and let's go to output CLI history and copy all these commands to insert them into our test. Yeah, we have lots of commands duplicated. We need to remove those ones that we don't need. And if we just remove all the trash, the test looks pretty simple to read and execute. Let's try to run it. Okay, the test was executed, but it failed because someone again has stolen our email. Please, if you hear me, just don't do it again. Okay, so this problem was because we previously used the same email for registration, and we see from the output logs that the message was not on the website. That's why the failure actually happened. Okay, so what should we do if some bastard steals our email every time we run our test? We should use a generated email. So for this, I will use NanoID library to generate unique IDs every time we execute our tests. I installed it, and now I'm requiring it into the top of website. I will do it using the require command. And now I will replace my email with adding the nano ID generated into the middle of it. Trying it again. So as you see from the logs, I see the actual email that was used, and it's quite unique one, and the test has passed. How can we check that the email was actually received? We use mail catcher to get emails sent from local hosts. So a mail catcher starts at two ports. One of them is to receive emails, and the second one to as a web interface to show them. Let me demonstrate it by running the test again. And I see that after registering, a new email was actually caught by mail catcher. So here is the message we received with the confirmation link. How can we check that mail was delivered? Mail catcher has API to do this. So just by going to mail catcher website and searching for API section, we see that there is RESTful schema, and it's very basic one with just few endpoints, and we can easily access it and get data from it. That's the best strategy for email checking on local web testing. So we will create a new helper for this using CodeceptJS gh generate helper generator. We will use it for email only and save it. So we will copy this email helper into the config and add it near the playwright. As you see, playwright is a built-in helper of CodeceptJS, and email is our custom, which we just created. So whenever you want to create custom functions, custom methods, and introduce them into tests, a helper is the best place to store them. Just create them and add it to config, and the methods from the helpers will be available as any other methods inside iObject. So helpers of playwright and email are quite much the same, except the email helper is empty. We just created it. So we start with introducing the first method. How to name it? I see email 4. Let's check the recipient and subject. Axios was required. Axios will be used to send HTTP request to mail catcher. So these are the commands that I am using. I'm sending GET request to messages on the mail catcher web port, receiving data from Axios, and getting the last email from a list. I have transformed my function to async. because request execution required us to use await commands. I use this debug command to print the last email in a list, and by using this command icemail4 in a test, we can try to check that an email was actually received. I see email4, and now I need to reuse the same email that I was using to register. That's why I'm copying it into the first line of a test and using it as a variable. By the way, we don't use await inside of our tests because CodeceptJS hides this complexity from us. So we didn't need to use await for most of time. So even the function is async, in the test it's not really needed to be await, but if you write your custom JavaScript code inside a helper, you should follow the async await pattern and use await wherever you need them. So let's check for the subject and for email. So we have put them in, and the test is not ready yet, but we at least can check that email was handled. Let's see. So it failed because we didn't pass email. I forgot it out. Let's try again. Now it seems much better. Test has passed, but unfortunately output was really not helpful. I should have used a JSON stringify function to actually print an email to console. We use debug inside console log because we need information this to be printed only in debug mode, so it shouldn't be shown in CI. Let's try again. And it passed, and we received some information that we can use to improve our command to actually check for the recipient and for subject. I will use native Node.js assertions to do this. So I will assert that email address is the same as the one that we can obtain from last message recipients first. You see the format requires these brackets, so I will also include them into the assertion. And next I am checking for the subject. But I think for a failure I will add a message, so a user, when something fails, will be notified where the problem was. So subject, I'm just comparing string to string from list last dot subject. Let's try it again. Okay, so you see there was lots of outputs here. That's because CodeceptJS tried to rerun this command again and again because it failed. This happens because CodeceptJS have a built-in feature to retry each failed step, and that makes sense because maybe you didn't receive the correct email yet. Maybe we need to retry it, but in our case the problem was quite different. This is because the emails we receive do not have the same case in email address as a user. So we see this from the message that we need actually to downcase this email. So I'm going to assertion and lowercase all the letters to not to take case into comparing. Let's save and try it again. Okay, the test has passed. Now we need to confirm our user. We can take this confirmation link from email from this button, or a more preferable way to me right now is to use functions from my backend framework to execute these changes from it. So uh, this option applies only for Rails testing framework, but it can be used also for Laravel, Django, and other frameworks that allow executing commands via CLI. That's why I will try to use the framework uh, uh, inside Rails. I have interactive command line just the same as I have in CodeceptJS, where I can access my application. For instance, I can check for the last user, which was just registered, and instead of getting an email link to it, I can manually register it. So I can actually confirm this user here. So why not to use this way of doing things faster through the backend application, and run this command from our test to check to confirm the user instead of parsing emails. I will create a new helper for that. If you use a framework with a CLI tool, like maybe Django, Laravel, Symfony, you can generate a helper and use the same pattern I'm showing to you with Rails. So I created a new helper for Rails. I'm copying it into the config file, switching to this helper, and use a sync command, run Rails command, or just maybe Rails command. But yes, this name is quite fine for now. I will import exec sync from a child process. I will import child process from the corresponding module. Exec sync, and use the Rails runner to execute the command. Well, if you are not a backend developer, you might not really understand what's happening here, but that's a good point that for efficient testing, you need at least communication with your backend engineer. Here, for instance, they may help you to execute CLI commands, and right now I'm switching to my application directory and execute Rails command from there. Let me take the output and print it to the screen. So that's it. I can open I I try to find the Rails command here, but there is no in the test. Auto-completion didn't work because we didn't update the definitions. CodeceptJS not knows about new helpers, so I'm running npx CodeceptJS dev command to do this. So now run Rails command is here, and I pass a command I had previously, user last confirm. Okay, so when the user is confirmed, I can log in as this user, so I'm just copying login test there. And this should be fine. So let's try to run a test again. Let's cross the fingers and run this test. I think let's see what has happened in logs, and looks I has misused the pass command. I need not just pass it because it's module name, I need pass dot join to actually specify. Now it was executed and we successfully logged into the website with a new user. So there was some failure because instead of signed in message we have welcome message, but it's absolutely fine. It's expected result here. Let's change the registration test and run all our tests one by one. So test has passed, and you see how efficiently was our email checking and connecting to Rails to confirm a user. We will use this shortcut in other tests to improve the stability and speed of tests, to use actual backend framework and the tools it provided. So that was very complicated lesson, but thanks for watching and see you next.